at the time when you are giving a request, one OS cell is created. Okay, one OS cell is created when you are passing through the CGI. But when you are using Java servlet, that you are giving a request, instead of creating OS cell, it is create a web container. So here OS cell is replacement with the web container. बुझेला अंकिता?
No, sir.
ଆଜ୍ଞା ସାର୍ ବୁଝିଗଲା।
ବୁଝିଲା ତ?
ଆଜ୍ଞା ସାର୍।
ଓକେ, ତ ଆଗରୁ କ'ଣ ହଉଥିଲା ନା ଆମେ ୟୁଜ୍ କରୁଥିଲେ OS cell, ଯିଏ ଗୋଟେ रिक्वेस्ट पठेला, देन एट दैट टाइमिंग वन OS cell is created, और एक रिक्वेस्ट भेजोगे तो और एक OS cell क्रिएट होगा। तो OS cell creation is very heavyweight task, but Servlet is saying that instead of creating different OS cell, it create a one OS cell, or that is called as the web container. In one web container you handle the billions of requests at a time. So at a time you can handle billions of requests, but in earlier by using of CGI application, at one request you at one request or at one OS cell you have to handle one request. मतलब एक वेब कंटेनर में एक ही रिक्वेस्ट प्रोसेस होगा, यहाँ पर एक वेब कंटेनर के अंदर मल्टीपल रिक्वेस्ट प्रोसेस होगा. सो इट इज नाउ you can say it is a flexible. Okay, means number of user can interacting with the web server. Clear?
सर नॉइज कौन होची की?
Noise can I तो
हाँ के सुबुजुला
स्पीकर में सुनाई दे रहा है।
ଏବେ ବନ୍ଦ ହେଇଯାଇଛି।
अभी ठीक हुआ?
ମାନେ ଗୋଟେ ବଜାର ଚାଲିଲା ଟାଇପ ର।
Now
ଏବେ ଠିକ ଅଛି ସାର୍। ହଁ ଠିକ ଅଛି।
बुझियाला what is servlet?
ସାର୍ ଆଉ ଥରେ।
एठी हमर कोन होतला CGI रे हमें तला रिक्वेस्ट पठाउतले, at when you are giving a request one CGI cell is created, पुणे आ गोटे रिक्वेस्ट पठेले one CGI cell is created. So when you are giving a one request, different cell OS cell is created. OS cell creation is very heavyweight task for a server. Okay, now when you are using a servlet, so instead of creating OS cell, it is creating a one web container. So in one web container multiple requests are processed. Okay,
sir.
So that is the benefit of your servlet program. Clear?
Again, sir.
Now Java servlet is a Java technology class. Okay, so which is similar to a CGI, but it runs in the server. Okay, pen paper लाए हो, notes का note down करो. देखो Java servlet is a Java technology class which is similar to the CGI program, but it runs in web server. The types of tags that you can run with the servlet are similar to CGI. The basic process,
Next point.
the basic process of Java servlet is quite similar to CGI.
CGI.
Similar to CGI. However, the servlet runs as a thread in the web container instead of separate OS shell. Next point, the web container itself is an OS process
Ways.
The web container itself is an OS process, OS operating system or OS process, but it runs as a service and is available continuously. Okay. And what are the advantages? So advantages and disadvantages, that note I will share you. Okay. Servlet having the following advantages. One is each request is run in the separate thread, and when each process is working in a separate thread, then working procedure or thread is faster than the others. Okay. Servlets are scalable. Scalable means that you can handle many requests when as much as possible. It is not restricted that at a time you have to handle 5,000 requests, 6,000 requests. Number of requests you can handle at a time. Servlets are robust and object oriented. Robust means it is a strong, so that no third party hacker can easily hack your program. Okay. So that is called as the servlet. Servlet can only be written in Java programming language. Okay. Servlets are platform independent because they are written in the Java programming language. Servlet have access to the logging capability. Most CGI do not. Logging capability means which is tracking the information regarding the user. Suppose आप लॉगिन किए, आप क्या क्या एक्टिविटी परफॉर्म किए, वो सारा इंफॉर्मेशन को ट्रैक करता है. So that is the important part of your your servlet. The web container provide additional service to the servlet such as you can handle the exception handling. In the scripting, there is no concept of exception handling, but in the servlet, for handling the runtime error, we use the exception handling services. As because it is a Java programming language, so that exception handling process is there. Clear? Ankita, bujhiyala?
Yes, sir. Oh,
Servlet often contain the business logic and presentation logic. The disadvantages is what? Servlet contain the business logic and presentation logic. As you know that, as earlier also I have discussed, when you are creating an application, you require the three parts. First is your user interface, business logic, next is your database. But in the servlet, you can design the application or you can write the business logic. You can separate also. How you separate? Like for the presentation logic, you use the HTML. Presentation logic के लिए HTML use करेंगे. Business logic के लिए servlet use करेंगे और database के लिए database concept use करेंगे. लेकिन अगर हम प्रेजेंटेशन लॉजिक और बिजनेस लॉजिक को एक ही साथ लिखेंगे, so there is a confusion and it makes your program slow. So that is the one disadvantages is present in the servlets, but it is not actually disadvantages. Okay, as because it is present, so we call as it is a disadvantages. Next technology we're using, that is JSP. JSP page are translated in the Java servlet class that are compiled and execute as a servlet. JSP stands for Java Server Pages. For running this application, we require a server. It is compiled and execute as servlet in the web container. JSP page should focus on the presentation logic, not on the business logic. So by using of JSP, you can design the web application. It is not like you can say it is a other language. It's just like, or it is similar to your HTML. And a lot of scripting language we are using. You can include the Java scripting, but when you are going for the advanced Java, there is a other scripting like TLD file, tag library file is present, scriptlet tag is present for writing or for giving a business logic. Okay. So Java code can be embedded in the JSP page. You can include the JSP page, Java code into the JSP page. In a Java technology web application, JSP pages are often used in conjunction with the servlet business object in a model view controller. So what is that model view controller? We have to discuss. It is a basic architecture for designing any web application, or it is very important in the advanced Java, and all the advanced Java program is run in the model view controller, or it is called the MVC architecture. So by following this architecture, we design the application or we develop this application. Okay, so it is an important part of model view. So in the next class, I will show you how to write the JSP page. Okay, so advantages of the JSP is what? Now it provides high performance and scalability because threads are used. It is built in Java technology, so it is a platform independent language. It can take the advantages of the object oriented language and its API. But again, I discussed the advantages. It provides a high performance and scalability. Performance wise, like as you know that when you are using scripting and you run the application, it will take the timing for processing. But when you are using a JSP, it is not taking a timing. Okay, so performance wise, it is better than the other scripting language. Is built on Java technology, so it is platform independent. It can take the advantages of the object oriented language and its API. Disadvantages is what? So there is a disadvantages in JSP page are used in isolation. Isolation means independent. Then the scripting code that perform the business and control logic can become the cumbersome in the JSP page. It means what? In the JSP page, you can write the designing and you can pass the business logic. Okay, means एक ही पेज में आप डिजाइन लिखोगे और एक ही पेज में आप बिजनेस लॉजिक लिखोगे, so which is very difficult to debug. So there is a separation of concern into business logic and presentation logic, and there is a concurrency issue, conflict is present. Okay, see there, when you design the application, we're using a 3-tier architecture. One is client, business logic, then is database. Means in the client, you pass the information, it is called the user interface. What are the input you are given, it is validated through the business logic, and next it is permanently stored in your database. Okay, so it is the what architecture that we design any kind of application. Okay, so now I will show what is this MVC actually. नेट बिल लोड होने के लिए मैंने स्लो लेता है, पता नहीं. See there. What is your single tier architecture? When you are designing an application, so there are three type of architecture is present. So before that, you know that for designing any kind of application, we require three parts. One is presentation. It is the topmost tier in the web application architecture. This layer provide a user interface that allow you the user to interact and communicate with the application. Next is your business logic. It is the middle tier in the web application architecture. It contains the logic related to the business decision of the organization. Okay, presentation logic where you are giving your information. Middle tier architecture is called the business logic. It contains the logic related to the business decision of the organization. Okay, like whether you are a authenticate user or not, the value that you are passing or you are processing through the web application, it is correct or not. So everything is decided in the business logic. Next is your data access logic. It is the last tier in the web application architecture. It contains the logic that enable you to access the data stored in the various data source, such as we are using RDBMS, extensible markup language, or text file. Okay, so in the various part we are using that. Presentation logic, business logic, and data access logic. बुझिला तीनटा पार्ट अंकिता
Yes, sir.
ओमकार
आज्ञा सर
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The next is single. Depending upon this, our application architecture is divided into three parts. One is single tier architecture. The single tier architecture is also known as monolithic architecture. In this architecture, the presentation logic, business logic, and data access logic are packaged on the same computer. These layers are tightly coupled. This means that if you make the changes to any one of them, you can also need to modify the others. Okay, माने ये जो हमें पढ़ले presentation logic, business logic, and data access logic, all the three part is present in a single system. So that is called the single tier architecture. It is known as monolithic architecture, and in the presentation logic and business logic and data access logic, it is packaged in the same computer. These layers are tightly coupled. That means if you make the changes to any one of them, you also need to modify the others. Okay, if you change in presentation logic, then you have to change in the business logic, then you have to change in the data access logic. So that is called the single tier architecture. बुझिला मधु
आज्ञा सर।
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
see there how the structure is showing you. If you see the structure, first presentation logic, business logic and data access logic is present in a single part. The single tier architecture doesn't support the concurrent multiple user, means at a time only one user is working. It doesn't support the multiple user and it is not flexible. So therefore a single tier architecture cannot distributed over a network. You can say like the software is only installed on the particular machine. You cannot use as a what network basis or client and server basis. Okay, so I will share the notes of this one and CGI. Okay, so in the next class
Okay, sir.
I will start this other two architecture, two tier architecture and three tier architecture. Okay,
आज्ञा सर
Okay.
ठीक है. नेक्स्ट हमें गुरुवार
Thank you,
में
sir.
meet करेंगे, है ना?
थैंक यू सर।